ties me to a spot, and anybody sitting on this side won't be able to see the screen. If at any point in time you can't hear me, tell me and I'll grab the microphone again.
Screech on.
So I have this handy dandy mouse that I'm going to use from over here, so hopefully you can see me well enough. Apparently this was such a good presentation last Friday that they'd like to videotape it. I had to dress for the occasion. Anybody who saw me earlier this evening saw me in some tatty old jacket, so I did kind of try to dress up. I want to say that in spite of anything you might hear me talk about or anything I might challenge, it has nothing to do with a lack of respect for this organization. Because honestly, you guys have done amazing things for 75 years. You're into 76, and I expect you'll have another 75 more, at least. May not be with the same people around the table. And I don't expect I'll be here too. But either way, I want to say that when I challenge you to think outside the box as you have done, when I bring forward ideas, it's not meant to criticize in any way what's happened in the past. I did tell a story. Does anyone want to hear the monkey story?
No.
So last week, who was here last weekend for the, okay. Do you want to hear the monkey story again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So when I was talking to Vanessa about preparing this, I kind of was scrolling through Facebook, and a friend of mine had posted this thing about Harry Harlow's monkeys. And Harry Harlow was a researcher, and he used monkeys as his subjects on a regular basis. One of the things he did was he put 5 monkeys in a room, and he put a ladder in the room, and at the top of the ladder was a pile of bananas. Beautiful bananas. What do monkeys like? Love bananas. So as soon as the monkey climbed the ladder to go get the bananas, the guy behind the screen with the hose sprayed all the monkeys sitting on the ground. So needless to say, the next time a monkey thought they would climb up the ladder, all of the ones on the ground got sprayed. It didn't take long before no monkeys would climb up the ladder, because the minute they did, of course, they got sprayed with cold water. So then Harry decided that he would take one monkey out and put a new monkey in. The new monkey sees the bananas at the top of the ladder, runs up, they all grab him and pull him off. New monkey comes in, so now we have 2 new monkeys. New monkey comes in, goes to the ladder, they pull him off. Slowly he replaces all the monkeys. Now we have 5 new monkeys in the room, and not a single one of them will climb the ladder, because that's the way things are done. What I suggested last week is that you are not monkeys, and that I think you have realized that there is a rope next to the ladder and no one gets sprayed when they climb up the rope. So we're finding a new way to come up with an opportunity to get the bananas, which is our mandate. How do we teach people safe boating? How do we expand membership? How do we get people engaged with what CPS ECP has to offer? It's a great product. It's a great organization. Feel proud of that. And, like I say, you're not monkeys. So we're good to go. So, from a marketing directions, again, this was a really long presentation. I'm going to kind of skip through a few things. Hopefully I won't dilute what I have to say. And if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask. So, maybe our screen's a little bit.
The front lowers, there must be a lower.
It does, it seems like it's as low as it can go. So here, just what if I do this? There we go. So, marketing, everybody always thinks it's about promotion, but I want to emphasize that it really is a strategy based on defining a product. This has to do with what you know people want or need. It has to be about determining where people will go to get it. to do with figuring out how to tell them about it, and it's also about knowing how much they're willing to pay. So it's not just about telling people about things. And this comes from the textbook that I gave Vanessa, or Vanessa bought for the course. But under product, we have things such as features, brand name, packaging, service, and warranty. So your product is a conglomerate of things. The price, it's not just the list price, but it's your discounts, it's your allowances, it's credit terms. Not all of these apply with CPS, but some of them do. When we have promotion, that's where we have advertising and personal selling, sales promotion, public relations, and direct marketing. And I will say that when I hear the success stories of CPS, most of this comes from the personal selling and the direct marketing. It's the people you talk to in the classroom when they're finishing their course, or when you're talking to them at a boat show, or when you're talking to them in person. They're the ones who take the courses in the classroom. If we move to an online environment, that's when advertising becomes more important when we're talking about the courses. When we talk about place, this is your outlets, your channels, your coverage, transportation stock level. These can be translated over to a CPS language when we say, okay, where you hold the class is the outlet. How you get the books to the students is a level of transportation. Whether or not you have the books in stock, that's all part of it. Anyway, none of these work together or alone. They are one big cohesive marketing program. Okay. The other thing that I think is really interesting is that if we talk about the product evolution, and you have done this, and you have seen this happen, but the generic product is the most basic thing that allows you to participate in the market. And I almost think it works kind of like the 401. You have your express and your collector lane. And when you're generic, it's a highway. You just move along the road, and it gets you from point A to point B, and that's all you need. As your audience grows and as the traffic grows or whatever, then you need more lanes. You need additional intakes, on-ramps, off-ramps. And so then the expected product is what the customer expects from your thing based on what else is available. We're in a position now where we are having to rise above a little bit because the PCOC and our competition has come up with another alternative for online delivery. Then we have an augmented product. And this is when the customer gets more than what they thought they needed or expected. And then the potential product, but what comes next? The story I told last week was my husband sells toilets. And we all know that the generic product is a hole in the ground. As long as you have a place to go, you're pretty happy. The expected product becomes something that does fill with water and will dispose of waste when you flush it. The augmented product, I don't know if you've heard of this, but there is a toilet with a remote control. And it does everything. You walk into the room, it heats the seat. You sit. When you're done, it goes, it does, whatever. Anyway, I don't know who needs these. They're very popular in Japan. What comes next? Have you heard about the toilet paper products? Like, what's this? The Freshy Fresh? I don't know. Anyway, it's, I'm just saying that we can create something out of the most basic thing and create it to becoming more than we ever could imagine. We see this with iPhones. 10 years ago, the satellite phone this big, we were pretty excited about it. I mean, when I was a teenager, the fact that you could have a cord that went from here to here and you could walk around with a phone in your hand was pretty exciting. We are always evolving. And so the question is, how do we make the CPS ECP product evolve to the what comes next, or at least augmenting it? I will confess, I agree that what Transport Canada, there's no one here from there.
No.
They lowered the bar when they made it a license or made it a certificate. And when they put the SCORM-based PCOC course there, they diminished the concept of what online could be. I mentioned earlier that online courses are like vegetables. If the only online course you ever see is Brussels sprout, you won't like them. I don't know, does anybody like Brussels sprouts? Good for you. But the reality is that you have carrots, you have corn, they each have different elements that add to someone's basic digestion or understanding of information. And if we see all online courses as one thing, that will also that's also a bad thing. And so PCOC should not be the thing against which online is measured. We offer 2 generic products, and we are talking more about courses than membership, but there are things that you do that enhance membership. There was the conversation about volunteerism. How do we get people to volunteer? Because without volunteers, we don't have teachers. Without membership, we don't have volunteers. So it still is cyclical, it still works together. And without competition, we were good. We were good as a one-lane highway. We did one thing, that's all we had to do. But now we have to think about what people expect. It doesn't mean that they're still not going to get to point B from point A, but how are they going to get there? And how do they want to get there? What can we do to make this more than they expect? It's not just a boating course. It's not just a PCOC. And what are our future and potential products? This is where, when you start thinking, and you guys are getting there, the compression of courses, the alternate delivery, the opportunity to encourage people to suggest that they want to do it on a Monday and a Thursday and a Tuesday and a Thursday, and saying that you'd accommodate that. These are all things that augment the product. There's no way BoatSmart's doing that. So when we talk about the elements of the product, goes back to what I was saying before. The features. So how does the product meet the customer's needs? The branding. How is the product recognized by the customer? And that's something that my predecessor, Paul, really worked on with Vanessa. They talked about getting recognition. We've got our Canadian Power and Sail. We're moving forward with boatingcourses.ca. So that's where from a marketing standpoint, we can help. Packaging. How is the product available to the customer? This is where you guys are already evolving. You're saying, okay, we need to have ebooks. We need to do something differently. We need to have an online course. We're doing things around that. We're delivering it in different ways. And then how the customer is treated during and after that purchase is something to consider as well. If you ask them to sign up to be a volunteer and then you never call them, they aren't going to say yes. And I'm going to share with you the fact that I'm a card-carrying member of CPS since 1999. Never once did anybody ask me to help. Vanessa asked me because I was her teacher and said, would you mind coming on board? Sure, why not? It was a very specific, I wasn't quite sure what the role was, and it's grown and it's a little more specific now. I love what I'm doing with you guys. I enjoy it, I'm engaged, I'm excited about it. I still see how if I were to say, if I could have someone for 3 hours to go do RVCCs at such and such a marina, they'd be willing to do that. I now got asked by my local squadron if I will be their treasurer. I said yes. But I hadn't been asked. And there was some kind of, well, why didn't she ever help out with us before? I asked. Anyway, so, I mean, consider that your customers, giving them a simple opportunity to help out. And the thing is with volunteers, if you just ask them to help and just give them a title and don't ask them to do anything, they don't stay engaged. You need them to feel good about their time. And I'm thinking I'll try to get my son RVCC certified so he can start working towards his volunteer hours this summer. Anyway, just a thought. When we take this to the CPS, ECP courses, we have features that involve current curriculum that describe boating, but there isn't any hands-on. Not that we see advertised on boatingcourses.ca. But they are developed and taught by experienced volunteers. We need to capitalize on that feature. The branding, we are getting a consistent look and feel. The packaging, we have 3 options right now. We have it available in person, we have PCOC, we have the electronic navigation, which is available with the instructor online thing. That's what we'll see tomorrow. We have service, which is graduation ceremony and invitation to join the squadron. These are generic, but I just want you to start seeing how all of these are the product. And it's not just the course. So when you're delivering a course in class, or when you're talking about delivering courses, this is what comes with it. There we go. So, I would say, how is that working for you? And how does CPS work in your district? Are the courses applying to your target market? Are the events applying to your target market? Are the volunteer opportunities there for you? And, you know what, I'm almost thinking I went back. Sorry. Sorry. So, and then membership, okay, we don't need to talk about that, so I'm sorry, forgive me. So, again, are you putting the 4 elements of the product together in proper perspective? Are you making sure that the features and the benefits and everything else are working for you? So, this is Carolyn and our stool speech. So, what does this look like to you? Exactly, it's a bunch of sticks, really. But if we have this on top, all of a sudden, it makes sense. It ties everything together. And the point is that if you only talk about price, and you only talk about promotion, or you only talk about place, without having the product to hold it together, you're going to have one stick up really high. Or none of them are going to be able to hold together. So the idea is that your product really ties everything, and none of these can do anything without it. One of my online students actually gave me this analogy at one point in time, and I thought it was so clever because it really did tie it all together. And like I say, I was trying to find a way to make my little image move. But if place becomes the issue and the product falls off, then it's not sustainable. If promotion is the only thing you consider, again, there's no product to hold up to. And price, don't ever diminish the value of what you put a price on something. There is value associated with the cost. And while free seminars are a great thing, and I think they're a key component to retaining your membership, they are also something that are of value to voters who may not be your members. So charging $20 for somebody who's not a member to come, think about it. Anyway, the other thing is, do you know your market? And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Phase 5 research here in a second. But basically, you have 2 markets. Voters who aren't members, and then members who may not be voters. And you have to consider that some of your members at this point in time don't have votes anymore. And if that's the case, do we need to go further abroad? And then, of course, it breaks down further by district and squadron. You also have this group here who are voters and are members. And then you have this whole group over here. And this piece over here are the ones who don't know about us. And we need to find them. If the product and the market don't meet, it doesn't matter what you do about price. It doesn't matter what we do at marketing from a national level about promotion. And it has not, and if it's not located where somebody needs it, or it's not available where they want it, none of that will make any sustainable difference. So We can put as many discounts as you want onto things. We can put as many ads in TVs, we can put as many ads in newspapers, we can do whatever you want. But if the product's not there, it's not gonna happen. And this comes down to the whole idea of planning your courses and planning a year in advance. Because for the most part, I'm the Gen Xer who will say that I already know what's happening pretty much through September of this year. And I knew in January. So I know that I have no time to take any kind of course until maybe September. So when I see a new course being offered, I have to think about when I might be able to do that. So I'm planning ahead. If you're telling me that you're offering something next week, chances are pretty good I can't do it. If it's to be determined, I'm not even interested. If I know it's going to be available next January, then I'll start thinking about doing it. When I used to coordinate our courses at Loyalist, I'll talk about this in a minute. When I used to coordinate the courses at Loyalist, we had an HR program, Human Resources program, 9 courses long. Everybody wants to take Human Resource Management, everybody wants to take Organizational Behavior. They're the fun ones, or the basic ones. But when it came to training and development, recruitment and selection, and the rest of the ones that fell down, and nobody wanted to take finance, but it was part of the program, I would be putting in the calendar every year when the next session of that would be available. So if we start, every fall I'd offer organizational behavior, every fall I'd offer, and every winter I would offer intro to HR, one of the way. I would always offer those intro courses, they were key. But the next fall, I would also include, okay, now it's going to be training and the development. And then in January will be recruitment and selection. And then in May we'll be having the finance course. And I would have it from 2011, 2012, 2013. I plan it out so they know exactly when they could jump into the next course. Those courses were also available online, so if they needed them at a different time, they could take them. But they knew if they wanted the in-class course, that that's when it was going to be doing. So this is a 4-year kind of advanced planning. So if you have specialized courses and you know you have people that might want them, don't hesitate to go that far out. Anyway, the Phase 5 market research did talk about the idea that we have boating enthusiasts and casual boaters. And if you were at the presentation last October at the marketing thing at the conference, what we did say is there's something that Phase 5 didn't really tell us with those 4 categories. And it didn't matter what category they were, but most of the people surveyed were between the ages of 45 and 54. Most of them have an open motor boat. Most boat on inland waters. Most use their boats for fishing or day trips. Most prefer a course that is 4 weeks or shorter. Nearly half got their PCOC online. And an average 50% would prefer to take their course online. So what we have, now if we take away the names, and somebody was kind of talking about casual boaters, cottage enthusiasts, whatever we are, the reality is that average 50% of people ages 45 to 54 want to take their course online. And if that isn't some motivation to get moving in that direction, and it's not because we don't like being in class, it's because we don't have time to be there. The other thing is, inland waters, what does that tell us about things like navigation and the courses that we need to offer? When we're talking about fishing or day trips, now, there is another side to this. There is a smaller group of people out there that did not get surveyed, I don't think, with this group. And they are the lifestyle boaters, and we need to start thinking about it not so much in the cottage enthusiasts and whatever, but what are our lifestyles? So who are the people who go on long cruises? Who are the people who have a personal watercraft? Who are the people that want to use just a fishing boat? And if we start advertising our courses in streams and chunks that relate to the people who are boating that way, then we have a new opportunity to capture. And I think we even have an opportunity to give them a series of courses that they can take. We can bundle different sections of courses that already exist to say, if you're an angler, these are the modules maybe, or the chapters that you need. And so if your particular district or squadron only has small fishing lakes nearby, maybe there is a new program for you to develop around that. The other thing is you need to consider is that people don't always boat where they live. So where they take their courses may not be where they're boating. So I do all my boating in the Thousand Islands, but I live in Belleville. So it's an hour away. I'm certainly not going to go down to Gananoque for a course, but I'm going to do all my boating down there. By the same token, I'm not going to BC. So learning charting for BC was a little bit awkward. So think about what type of boater is in your district. Are they inland lakes? Are they waterways? Are they Great Lakes or oceans? What instruction do they need? Is it the PCOC? We know they need it. They're starting to get that they need that. But keep in mind that boating is a lifestyle. Is it about fishing? Is it about a day trip? Is it about personal watercraft? And this is where you're going to start getting your kids involved. If you start dealing with courses that attract a younger group of people about safety, that means you could die out there. I mean, I don't mean to say we want to be negative, but we need to talk about it from their perspective. What about your cruisers and your sailing? Each of these are lifestyles, and I think that's one of the things that's coming out of my marketing committee now. Much thanks to Jeff Booth, honestly, from the BC region, who's really saying, you know what, that's what people are doing. It's a lifestyle, and that's what we need to start doing. So you will probably see some of our ads will start having a little bit more of a reflection on different types of boating. We will have some new taglines, slogans, like who taught you how to drive your boat? I don't know how many of you taught your kids how to drive their cars, but we're trying to kind of move on that theme, because when kids think about who taught them how to drive their boat, well, maybe it does mean that they need some help. And there's, and I mean, there are other things to come with that too. So we're working on some of those. Oh, and then you're the backyard boater. This is our backyard right now. I don't know if anyone's heard the alerts about Belleville being under siege, but this is us on the Moira River. Normally the grass is about here. This is the fire pit. This is the dock that is actually not in the water at all. So I'm a backyard boater. Anyway. Then it comes down to a market product strategy. And again, I'm getting theoretical and I'm getting a little technical, but I like talking about it from the perspective that it gives you something concrete to look at. When you start talking about changing your product, think about it in terms of, are we going to change our product and change our market? Or are we going to change our product, are we going to keep our product the same, or we're going to find a new market? Are we going to look at a new product in an existing market, or are we going to look for a new product in a new market? And if you start breaking down how you're changing things and deciding if that fits with the market that you have, this is not a one-stop shop. It's going to be different for each of you. So at the baseline and at this level, when you start making changes, you have to really recognize whether or not those changes can filter all the way through the organization. And when we talk about, I think, boating essentials or breaking that down, and there's been some discussion about going into modules or chapters or whatever, I can see great opportunity if you create chapter-based ebooks or chapter-based kind of things where someone can pick and choose modules and say, we have a 4-week course and we need to do this, 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 and this. I want to be able to develop a book, or I want to be able to develop a delivery that works on this basis. Then if there's a change to one chapter, it doesn't affect the whole book. It just affects that one chapter. Breaking things down so that you can customize, it's really expensive when you do it in a textbook at a college level, but you guys have the capacity to do that. And I think that given the fact that we have so many different markets that we have to target, it's probably something to start thinking about. I don't know that that's the only solution. There are so many ideas, there are so many ways to go. But if you can break it down to its most basic level so that people can create things and evolve a product out of the most basic generic thing, because your material is great, your curriculum is fantastic. You have put and invested so much time in that. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But if there's a way that you can get that so it'll work for other people in different ways, then you've hit it. And I think you have an opportunity to really move forward with it. So, again, like I say, what do you want to do? Do you want to increase sales within the existing market? So have you taught everybody possible the PCOC that you can? And I think we know with Boat Smart and Boat Exam and whatever else, they're capturing some of those people. That's okay, because that's not really what we're about. We're not about lowering the bar. We're about telling people that boat safety is more than the card. And that's, from a national level, something we're trying to push out when we start doing our national campaign. Do you need to find new markets for the existing product? The evolution to delivering in Chinese and Mandarin? Perfect. So you found a new market for the existing product. You create new products. So somebody is talking about offering seminars. And when you do a seminar for your existing membership, that is when you're creating new products for your existing market. And then we have new products for new markets. What do we have that can come out of this? And online will create new markets for you. We really were in a situation, and I don't know how many of you have heard me tell the story, but for 13 years I was involved with continuing education, adult ed at the community college level, in a small town, Belleville. I used to fill 4 classrooms every single night. 125 people used to come in every week to learn about introduction to computers. That happened for 3 years. I was damned to find a room to put more people in. 4 years later, nobody needed to know intro to computers anymore. And by the time I left, what we were doing is offering a 10-week course, but offering subsets to that. So if you wanted to learn Word, you could come for 10 weeks and pay $125 or $150. If you wanted to come for 4 weeks, you could pick which week you want. Okay, week 3 we did this, week 5 we did this, week 7 we did this, and week 10 we did this. And I would charge them $50 to come for one night. And someone would pay $200 to come for 4 nights rather than paying $150 to come for 10. What does it tell you? People are really looking for their local information. They want to know what they want to know. They don't need all the extra stuff, and they don't have time for it. So again, it's not about the cost, because time is money for us Gen Y. So, where are you at now? Are we at generic? Are we delivering what's expected? Are we getting to the augmented part? Or are we considering new products? And I think there are a number of different courses, there are a number of different things that are at all different stages here. When you're thinking about the product that you're developing, is it at the generic? Is it beyond expected? Are we really, or is it something new? And when you start thinking about everything you're developing in these terms, then you'll start seeing where it's progression. Is it the most basic thing? Is it going to need improvement at some point in time? Because we can never stay the same way. You've been very lucky that for 75 years you pretty much could. I don't know many products that can, other than toilet paper. And even they're trying to change. The course as a product. So consider your market carefully. Each of you will have different markets. Consider the distribution method. Does it need to be delivered in a classroom? Does it need to be delivered at a marina? Does it need to be delivered at a yacht club? Does it need to be delivered online? If you have a large district, online courses may be the way. You'll see an example of one tomorrow, and I'm starting to hear of other people trying to create this happening and making it available. The idea of having someone available for a lecture and people signing in and joining at that particular time, or developing emails and kind of poking people to be involved on a regular basis. All of these are parts of it. What I will say is that the college process and the infrastructure that's been developed already went through all of that stuff. So we kind of have an opportunity to leap on board the train that's already going 100 miles an hour. I saw it starting in '95 when we were doing bulletin board systems, and that's how we started with online. And it has evolved along beyond that. Consider the implications for change. What does it mean to change a product? Why are you changing it? Who are you changing it for? Don't change it for the generic Xers and the Yers. Change it for the people who are voting. Change it for the people who are going to be taking the courses. I had a student who once, I did a new venture business course, and the guy said, I said, so who's your market? He was going to set up a motorcycle mechanic shop. So who's your market? Men. I said, okay. And how old? Oh, between the ages of 20 and 60. Okay. And I said, how many teachers do you have? He's in a civil engineering program. I said, how many teachers do you have that are men? Other than me. All of them. How many of them have a motorcycle? None. So I guess men between the ages of 20 and 60 probably aren't your target market. You have to start digging down deeper. It's not, just because they have a boat doesn't necessarily mean they're part of your, they at least have to have a boat. So we can't say all people between the ages of this and this are our market. We have to start at least deciding that they have a boat. So where are we going to find people with boats? Either at marinas, yacht clubs, docks, wherever. And again, I'd like to see us try. So this is something that Vanessa and I are working on, trying from a national level to make sure that our advertising about CPSCCP, votingcourses.ca as a national organization gets out there. But then you have to have something at votingcourses.ca for them to find. So again, we're kind of talking about alternate forms of delivery. You have electronic materials, ebook, EPUB, distribution opportunities. Craig gave me a really great story the other day where he's offering a course, and he gave the students, they came in for one day, right? Was that the idea? Or a couple of days. They were electronic navigation, got their books in advance, studied the material, came in for the lecture, did the exam, did really well. One person didn't get their book on time. Gee, if they had an ebook, it wouldn't have been an issue. So if you are thinking of offering courses in shortened forms or doing it kind of like that, this is where some kind of an ebook or even a PDF, an electronic format of the same file. And they aren't the same, and some of them have different opportunities than others. I can print off a PDF, and if I want to have a hard copy of something, I'm still learning like that. I don't like to read off, I don't have a Kobo, and I've never read anything off a computer. I still like to have something in my hand. If I were going to take a course, I'd want to print off a PDF. If I wanted to have it for reference material later, then I might want an ebook. So I wouldn't have to carry the whole thing around with me. So think about the different reasons people might want to have things in different formats, and consider what they'll use them for and when they'll use them. And of course, membership is another thing. I know that courses lead to membership, but that's kind of the cycle. and membership leads to people taking courses. So they are together. I won't spend a lot of time talking about membership, but they are intertwined. And so I'm gonna quickly go through this. Basically, you can find this. It's your place. How it's available is also a feature of the product. Promotion, how we tell them about it. And I mean, I joke about the idea that putting the posters in your marinas washrooms is not a bad idea. And it's true. I mean, where else do you sit down and read? And so it's different approaches for boaters who aren't members. It gives them an opportunity to say, if you're going to have an RVCC at your day at your marina, why not put it out there? And what we're hoping to do with the RVCC thing this year is that we'll have a little kit for anybody who's doing that will talk about boatingcourses.ca, talk about the courses, give the volunteers a really concrete thing to speak to when they hand it to somebody so that they can push them over to boatingcourses.ca and it's a step on to the right direction. But if the courses aren't there, can't do anything about it. Think about your costs. Think about the price of participants. Free sometimes can devalue things. And I'll tell you, the government is the worst one. If you tell them it's free, they don't want any part of it. And consumers are still the same way. They perceive value based on price. So if it's more money, they think it's better. Now, and I ask you to think about that. Every time you worry about what the competition is doing, think about how we don't necessarily have to meet them at the price level. What we need to do is talk about how we beat them at the quality level. And if we can start talking about the quality and thinking about the quality and having pride in our quality, then hopefully the price will become inconsequential. And discounts. I mean, we talked about this last week as well. For all the talk about discounts, very few of them are ever actually paid out because nobody actually asks for them. So all the PCOC discounts and everything else that people print out, very few actually get cashed in. So it doesn't mean that we can't do it because it's a perception. The reality is it doesn't make people take courses. Does it tell people who we are? Maybe. And are we going to worry about that? Absolutely not. So any advertising is good advertising. Really quickly again, national, we have an annual budget of $50,000, so we cannot advertise your individual courses. Love to, it's not going to happen. So what we're really trying to focus on now is talking about CPS-ECP and boatingcourses.ca and working on building an image around this organization that means we are the boaters. We are the people who can teach you how to boat properly. We provide training, and we're looking forward to something in the fall when we do our conference, whether it's website or social media strategy, one of those two. And then we try to provide advertising resources that you can print out and do what you need to with them. Identify your market, define your product, plan, and promote. I mean, Wobus, for all it is, it still works, and it will get better. So it's what we have to use it. And get to boatingcourses.ca. We're working on making sure that's a big part of it. And this I'll leave with you. This is just our marketing strategy. We're coordinating national activity. That'll be our VCC. Direct support for local squadrons, anything we can do. The PROs and district commanders are hearing from me kind of on a semi-regular basis. It'll kind of improve as we ramp up now. But we want to encourage an ongoing conversation. And then, sorry. Sorry. Okay, and then, sorry, what we're hoping together, we want to plan, we want to try to develop planning guidance, resources, training, and advertising so that you guys can work with us and we can work with you so that it's easy. Again, WebUS is part of your challenge and there's not a lot we can do about that. But hopefully, by creating a national brand recognition and pushing people to votingcourses.ca, we create an opportunity for you to make sure that your courses are found. That's the goal. And we want to create that. We are the sole provider. We are the sole provider of voter education. The Vote Smart people, Voter Exam, whoever they are, all they're doing is a PCOC. And we are also a foundational supporter of voter safety with partnership with SALUS and whatever, and we can continue to expand on those. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say, and I'll just leave it with creating balance. And does anybody have any questions for me? Yeah.
Joe, have you ever considered making the motion